All right, you've tuned into the deep dive, and today we're diving headfirst into some seriously exciting news for, well, anyone creating or dreaming of creating games within the Fortnite universe.
hmm
The v35.00 patch just dropped on May 2nd, 2025, and it's packed with goodies.
That's right. And this update isn't just a minor polish. It feels like it's laying the groundwork for some pretty significant advancements. We've sifted through the details to bring you the core of what matters.
And for this deep dive, we're really laser focused on two things that jumped out at us.
Yeah.
The brand new experimental general physics feature
Yeah.
and the incredibly useful A/B thumbnail testing capability.
Mm.
Our mission today is to unpack what these features are all about, explore the potential they unleash, and ultimately understand why they should be on your radar.
Exactly. Whether you're a seasoned UEFN pro or just curious about the tech shaping these virtual worlds, these updates, they really have the potential to change how games are made and discovered.
Okay, so this v35.00 patch was a big one. Before we zoom in on those headline features, let's just maybe touch on the sheer scope of what landed first.
Yeah, it's important to appreciate the breadth of this update. I mean, beyond the experimental general physics, which we'll definitely get into detail on, there's a new time of day manager, or TODM, for Fortnite Creative. Think more realistic lighting in your creations.
This KODM upgrade sounds like it could really elevate the visual fidelity then.
Absolutely. It's leveraging Lumen and Nanite, bringing the lighting more in line with the capabilities you get in UAFN itself.
Yeah.
This also means the Skydome device, well, it's still functional for existing islands, but it's being retired for new projects. The
Yeah.
future is the day sequence device and ambient settings for controlling that lighting. So yeah, this new time of day manager really gives creators more control over the whole atmosphere of their islands.
Interesting evolution. And I saw something about UI templates getting a refresh too.
Yes, a pretty significant one. They've introduced material assets that use something called sign distance field textures, SDF textures.
Okay, SDF. What's the benefit there?
Think of it like using a special kind of digital information that keeps the edges of your UI elements really crisp and clear, no matter how big or small they appear on screen. Makes everything look, well, more professional.
Nice.
Plus, there's a new conversation template, which should make creating those in-game dialogue interfaces much smoother. Building on these visual bits, the patch also brought some interesting updates to the UI tools themselves.
Definitely tools for a more polished final product.
Yeah.
What about the nuts and bolts, the devices creators use to build their gameplay?
Yeah, Epic continues to refine these core tools.
Yeah.
The patch included a whole array of improvements across the board. Things like enhanced controls for existing devices like grind rails. You can now set their travel direction, which is neat.
Filing.
Yeah. And bank vaults, more options for the camera device. They've also added support for patrol paths on wildlife and NPC spawners, an NPC ignore list for the barrier device, and even the ability to apply movement modifiers to NPCs.
So more AI control.
Exactly. Plus, a fun little detail. Shoe cosmetics can now be used on player reference and dance mannequin devices.
Okay.
Beyond the look and feel, Epic is also constantly refining those tools creators use day to day.
That's a lot of fine-tuning for creators who like to get into the details. And it wasn't just functional tweaks, right? Were there new content additions as well?
Precisely. They've added 2 new bird prefabs, a gas station store, and a restaurant, along with 3 bird galleries.
Bird, like the gas station brand.
Yeah, that one. And for those looking to add more natural environments, there are 6 new nature galleries, including Japanese spring, fall, and winter themes. Always great to have more building blocks for creativity.
Absolutely. And for players discovering all these new experiences, anything changed for them?
A new popular in your region creator row has been added to the Discover section.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, this should help players find more locally relevant content, which is, a great way to support regional creators.
Smart for fostering community.
Yeah.
And for creators just starting out with UEFN. Any help there?
Epic is continuing to invest in learning resources. New first hour in UFN videos focusing on Niagara VFX and environmental lighting have been released.
Good starting points.
Yeah, excellent starting points for mastering those key areas. There were also sort of under-the-hood improvements to the UMG editor, the scene graph, various editing tools, updates to environments and landscapes handling, modeling tool enhancements, and Verse API updates and fixes. It's a really comprehensive update touching, many facets of the creation process.
Okay, but let's zero in now on the feature I know our listeners are itching to hear more about, this experimental general physics. The name itself suggests a whole new level of interaction.
It certainly does. As the release notes clearly state, general physics is now available in UEFN, but, and this is crucial, it's currently an experimental feature.
Right.
To even access it, creators need to actively go into their project settings and enable it. It's an opt-in thing.
And there's a pretty significant caveat that comes with this experimental label, isn't there?
Correct. Enabling physics at this stage will currently disable island publishing.
Ah, okay. That's the big one.
Yeah, it underscores that it's really a work in progress, a sandbox for creators to play in right now. The good news is that a beta release is anticipated around Q3 of 2025, so they're actively moving towards a more public release.
Okay, Q3. So fundamentally, what does enabling physics actually do? What's the core change we're talking about here?
At its core, it introduces the potential for dynamic, physics-based gameplay within your islands. It gives creators the foundational tools to create experiences where objects, and even players, behave in a more, let's say, realistic, physics-driven way.
So more than just making things wobble.
Oh, yeah. Beyond just making things wobble, this opens the door for truly emergent gameplay. Think, I don't know, player-created Rube Goldberg machines or entirely physics-driven sports games that kind of evolve organically as you play.
How will this feel different from a player's perspective if I jump into an island that has this enabled?
Well, the most immediate change is that the player spawner device will now spawn the player as a physics-based character.
Okay.
This means player movement is influenced by forces and collisions in a new way. However, it's important to note that the initial set of player movement modes is limited.
Limited how?
And early testers have reported it can feel a bit janky at times. Things like mantling, for instance, aren't currently supported with the physics character.
Limited movement and potentially janky definitely sounds like early exploration stage. Yeah. What about how combat and items work with this new system?
Right, so all weapons are technically available, but there's a key restriction. Only Hitsagan weapons, think shotguns, pistols, assault rifles, SMGs, will actually affect physics objects.
So you can shoot the physics box with a pistol and it'll move.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But explosives and rocket launchers, they won't have any physical impact on these props just yet.
Okay. That seems like a big limitation for certain types of games. Any idea when that might change?
No word on that specifically yet, but you'd assume it's on the roadmap if they want full integration. Similarly, while all items are available, the documentation advises that some might not function correctly with a physics-based character controller. So expect some weirdness there too.
So it's definitely a selective implementation for now.
Yeah.
Now, for the creators out there, how do they actually start using this physics system in their islands? What's the process?
The central element is the Fort Physics component. Creators can add this component to pretty much any Fortnite prop to enable physical simulation for that object.
Add a component, okay.
Yeah, and once you add it, a whole range of physics settings become adjustable right there in the props details panel.
What kind of settings are we talking about? Give us a sense of the level of control creators actually have.
You can fine-tune things like mass, obviously, the strength of gravity's pull on that object, linear and angular damping, which basically controls how quickly an object slows down its movement and its rotation. There are also impulse and hit multipliers, allowing you to adjust how much force is applied when the prop is hit, say, by a weapon or another physics object.
Okay.
And crucially, you have constraints. These let you lock specific axes of translation or rotation.
Like for making a hinge or a slider.
Exactly. If you wanted to create a swinging door, you'd use constraints to lock all movement except rotation around the hinge axis. This level of granular control must be incredibly exciting for creators who love tweaking details.
It sounds like a lot of potential for really dialing in the exact behavior you want. What kind of precision does this level of control unlock, do you think?
Well, you can make things feel heavy or light, bouncy or sluggish. You could create complex chain reactions or things that only move in very specific ways.
Yeah.
It really opens up puzzle design and interactive environments.
Okay. Are there any devices that have been specifically updated to interact with these new physics objects?
Yes, there's a dedicated experimental folder in the content browser. It contains updated devices designed specifically to interact with physics-enabled props.
Ah, okay. What's in there?
This includes devices like the prop mover, air vents, barriers, bouncers, bouncer traps, volume devices, pinball flippers, and bumpers.
Pinball?
Yeah. Hover platforms, teleporters, which even have a specific option for teleporting physics props while maintaining their momentum, which sounds like the foundation for some truly chaotic and fun gameplay.
Oh, wow, yeah. Imagine a pinball machine on steroids.
Totally. Also triggers water volumes and even the skydive volume, although the notes mention potential issues with that one currently.
Interesting list. But you mentioned sequencer animated objects won't interact with physics. That seems important.
It does. It means that for now, dynamic physics interactions will primarily rely on using that new Fort physics component and these updated experimental devices. Pre-scripted animations are separate.
Okay. And verse API. Anything new there for physics?
Yes, specifically for the volume device. It's received some very useful additions. Prop enter event and prop exit event.
So you can script things to happen when a physics object enters or leaves a defined area.
Yeah.
That opens up a lot of possibilities for triggering events.
Exactly. For example, as the documentation and some early tutorials have shown, you could, say, teleport an object as soon as it enters a specific volume, or trigger an explosion or change a light. It provides a really powerful way to create interactive, physics-driven mechanics.
Cool. Any limits we should know about? Like how many physics things can you have going at once?
Yeah, the documentation gives an estimate of around 400 to 500 simultaneously simulated physics objects being the current sort of target limit. Creators will need to keep this performance constraint in mind as they design their experiences.
400, 500. Okay, good to know. So we've looked at what it is and how it works. Now let's talk pros and cons of this experimental physics feature, especially in its current early form. What are the upsides?
Well, on the pro side, even in this experimental state, it just unlocks entirely new categories of gameplay. We're already seeing simple examples like that 3v3 soccer game where players are literally hitting a physics-enabled ball with their pickaxes to score goals.
Right, that basic example really makes it click.
It's a basic but clear demonstration of the kind of creative and dynamic island designs this could lead to. It really opens the door to more realistic interactions, innovative mechanics, and probably experiences we haven't even conceived of yet.
But it is experimental, so there have to be some drawbacks, some cons.
Absolutely. Its experimental status means it's definitely not fully polished. As some have noted, it can be a bit janky at times.
Janky in what way? Like unpredictable movement,
Yeah.
visual glitches, that sort of thing?
Yeah, potentially unpredictable physics, maybe some clipping issues, player movement feeling a bit floaty or unresponsive sometimes, things you'd expect from an early experimental release.
Right.
Then there are the limited player movement options we mentioned, no mantling. The current restrictions on which weapons interact with physics objects are also significant limitations for many game ideas. Plus, the potential for device compatibility issues with things not in that experimental folder, and of course the huge one. The current inability to publish islands with physics enabled, that's the major hurdle right now for creators eager to share their work.
So even with these limitations, what kind of games are developers starting to play around with based on what you've seen and maybe those early tutorials?
We're seeing a lot of initial experimentation focused on those core physics interactions. Simple physics-based sports games, like that soccer example, seem like a natural starting point.
Makes sense.
Creators are also exploring experiences that heavily utilize those volume triggers we talked about, detecting when a physics object enters a zone to trigger an explosion, open a door, or some other effect.
Puzzles too, I imagine.
Definitely. Puzzle or obstacle courses that rely on clever manipulation of physics objects are emerging. Pushing blocks, tilting platforms, that kind of thing. And, as mentioned, that ability to teleport physics objects while retaining their momentum is sparking some really innovative designs. Think complex contraptions or fast-paced object delivery challenges. It's a true sandbox environment right now, and creators are really just beginning to scratch the surface of its potential.
Very cool. Okay, let's switch gears now and talk about our second major feature in this v3500 patch, A/B thumbnail testing. This sounds like a really powerful tool for creators looking to get their islands discovered.
It is, yeah. This new feature becomes available during the island publishing process, specifically within the promotional materials tab of the creator portal.
Okay.
And importantly, it's completely optional. But, well, for anyone serious about maximizing their island's visibility, it's a significant step forward. This isn't just about a prettier picture, it's about directly impacting how many players even give your hard work a second glance in what's becoming a pretty crowded marketplace.
Totally.
Yeah.
So walk us through how this A/B testing actually works. What do creators need to do to use it?
The process is actually quite straightforward. You essentially upload two different thumbnail images for your island, thumbnail A and thumbnail B.
Two. Okay.
Just two for now, yes. You then add any other media assets you want to include, like trailers. The system then takes these two thumbnails and distributes them evenly, basically a 50-50 split to potential players browsing the in-game Discover page, the various browse sections, and search results.
So a player will only ever see one of those two thumbnails for a given island during the test.
Exactly. And once a player sees a particular thumbnail for an island, say thumbnail A, that's the version they'll continue to see for that island going forward. It avoids confusion.
Gotcha. How long does this test run?
The testing period runs for a maximum of 90 days. During this time, you can track the results, things like impressions, clicks, and the crucial click-through rate, or CTR, right there on your island's publishing page under the release module.
And you can see which one's doing better.
Yeah, and the system even indicates whether the results have reached statistical significance, which gives you confidence that the difference you're seeing isn't just random chance.
That's really valuable, knowing if your results are actually meaningful.
Yeah.
What if you identified a clear winner early on? Or maybe the test just isn't performing how you hoped. Can you stop it?
Absolutely. Creators have the flexibility to end the test and manually select a winning thumbnail at any point within those 90 days.
Okay.
If you don't make a selection yourself by the end of the 90-day period, the system will automatically choose a default thumbnail based on which one performed best according to the data.
What if there's no clear winner?
If the results don't clearly favor one thumbnail over the other after 90 days, you'll receive a notification saying so, but you still have the option to manually choose whichever one you prefer.
And if you want to test new thumbnails later?
If you decide you want to run a completely new A/B test with different thumbnails, maybe after an update or something, you'll need to go through the publishing and moderation process again with the new set.
Seems like a very user-friendly system overall. So why is this A/B thumbnail testing such a significant addition for Fortnite creators? What's the big deal?
Its core value is that it provides actual data-driven insights into which thumbnail is most effective at grabbing players' attention and encouraging them to click through to your island. You're not just guessing anymore.
Right.
By seeing real player behavior, how many people saw each thumbnail versus how many clicked, creators can optimize their island engagement by using the most visually appealing image proven to work. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of selecting a thumbnail and allows for much faster iteration based on concrete player data.
It's all about making sure your hard work actually gets noticed in that sea of content in Discover. Now, this idea of A/B testing, it isn't something unique to Fortnite thumbnails, is it? This is a broader strategy in the marketing world, especially gaming.
You're absolutely right. In the wider context of marketing, and especially for gaming companies, A/B testing, sometimes called split testing, is a fundamental practice. It involves comparing two or more variations of pretty much any marketing asset to see which one performs better with a specific segment of your audience.
What kind of marketing assets are we talking about in the gaming industry typically, beyond thumbnails?
Oh, it's incredibly versatile. Think about ad creatives testing different visuals, headlines, maybe different calls to action like play now versus learn more to see what drives the most downloads or installs.
Okay.
It's also vital for App Store optimization, or ASO. That's testing things like different app titles, subtitles, descriptions potentially packed with different keywords, preview videos, screenshots, the icon design itself, and even the promotional text that shows up on the App Store page, all to optimize for downloads. And that's huge because, interestingly, app stores remain a primary way people discover new apps and games.
So even before someone plays the game, A/B testing is crucial. What about once they've actually installed the game? Does it stop there?
Not at all. It extends throughout the player journey. You can A/B test the onboarding flow, like should you have a tutorial or not? How long should it be? Should you use videos or UI overlays? Even testing the timing and presentation of permission requests, like for notifications, to improve player engagement and retention.
Interesting.
Some companies, like Slack, for example, even tailor their onboarding based on whether a user says they're new or experienced with similar tools. That's a form of segmentation, often informed by testing. You can also A/B test the registration process, maybe testing different social login options, or when the registration prompt appears, where it is on the screen, even the number of fields required, all to minimize friction and get players into the game faster.
Wow.
And it doesn't stop there. Landing pages for your game's website, in-game promotions and special offers, the timing and content of push notifications, even the style of content used in influencer marketing campaigns, like testing gameplay reviews versus comedic skits. Pretty much anything can be tested.
It sounds like virtually any interaction point with a potential or current player can potentially be optimized through A/B testing. That's powerful stuff.
It really is.
Now, for creators using this new Fortnite feature, specifically for their thumbnails, Are there some best practices they should keep in mind, drawing maybe from both the Fortnite specifics and these broader marketing principles?
Definitely. First and foremost, have a clear goal for your test. What are you trying to achieve? For thumbnails, it's almost always going to be increasing the click-through rate, the CTR, on your island in Discover.
Yeah, know your goal.
Right. And while the Fortnite feature focuses on testing two complete thumbnails in broader A/B testing, it's generally good practice to try and test only one variable at a time if possible. Like, just change the text or just change the background color. That helps isolate what's actually driving the change in results.
But with thumbnails, you're kind of testing the whole package at once.
Exactly. So with thumbnails, it's crucial that the two versions you test are significantly different. Don't just change a tiny detail. Make them distinct enough that you might reasonably expect a different reaction. Subtle variations might not yield clear results or might take a very long time to show a difference.
Makes sense. Test bold differences.
Yeah.
What else should creators be thinking about?
Well, while Fortnite's system doesn't explicitly use a control group in the classic ABC testing sense, where one group sees no change at all, understanding that concept is valuable,
Why is that?
in broader marketing tests, that control group acts as a baseline. It tells you how things would perform if you did nothing. This helps you understand the true impact of your variations, version A versus version B, and helps you avoid confirmation bias, seeing the result you wanted to see. For the Fortnite feature, you can maybe think of your previous thumbnail, if you had one before starting the test, as a sort of informal baseline in your mind. Define the key metrics you're tracking. Fortnite makes this easy. Impressions, clicks, and CTR are right there. Allow the test to run for a sufficient amount of time to gather statistically significant data. Fortnite's 90-day maximum provides a really good time frame for this. Don't jump to conclusions after just a day or two.
Let the data build up.
Exactly. Analyze the results carefully when the test concludes or when significance is reached. Identify the winner, but also try to understand why it might have performed better. Was it brighter? Did it show gameplay more clearly? Did it have a stronger focal point?
Learning from the results.
Yes. And even after you've found a winning thumbnail, don't necessarily stop there. Marketing and player tastes evolve. Continue to think about potential further improvements and maybe iterate with new tests down the line. Maybe test that winner against a completely new idea later.
Continuous improvement.
Right. For solo developers or small teams just starting out, maybe even before building a full island, consider A/B testing early concepts, like different art styles or themes, using mock-up images on the social media ads, just to gauge initial interest and see what kind of visuals get clicks before investing heavily.
Smart way to test the waters.
Yeah, remember, A/B testing fundamentally helps minimize guesswork and maximize the effectiveness of your efforts, whether that's marketing budget or just your creative time.
Good advice. Anything else specific to the Fortnite implementation?
Just a couple of practical points. Keep in mind that only team members with publishing permissions can actually create the A/B test and select the winning thumbnail in the creator portal. And finally, be aware of moderation. If either of your submitted thumbnails fails the moderation process, the entire submission, including the working thumbnail, will be rejected. So make sure both options meet the guidelines.
Crucial details. Okay, some really actionable advice there for anyone wanting to make their creations shine in the Fortnite ecosystem. So, to sum it all up then, this v35.00 patch really looks like a major leap forward for empowering game creators within Fortnite.
Absolutely. The experimental physics feature, even in its early form, it has the potential to unlock entirely new categories of gameplay and interaction. It's a creative sandbox just waiting to be explored more fully.
And the A/B thumbnail testing offers such a practical and, importantly, data-driven way to ensure those amazing creations actually get discovered and enjoyed by players. Take some of the luck out of it.
Exactly. It's about making your hard work visible and engaging in a smart, informed way, moving beyond just intuition or what you think looks good, and actually leveraging real player feedback.
So the ball's in your court now, listeners. Dive into these new features, experiment, see what you can build. And if you're publishing islands, definitely take advantage of the A/B testing. We'd love to hear about your experiences, actually.
And with that, maybe consider this. With the physics sandbox now open, even in its experimental state, what truly unexpected and innovative game mechanics do you think will emerge once island publishing is finally enabled for it? And thinking about discoverability, how will creators strategically use the insights from A/B thumbnail testing to not just get clicks, but to really connect with the players who will truly love their creations in that bustling Discover feed? Some things to ponder until our next deep dive.